Welcome back. And in this episode of The Real Deal with Asher Cohen, I sit down with Chris Prefontaine, the CEO of Smart Real Estate Coach, multi-bestselling author, and the host of the Smart Real Estate Coach podcast, to unpack what's ahead for real estate professionals and investors for 2026. With uncertainty, optimism, and noise swirling in equal measure, Chris brings it back to what he knows best: creative real estate, strategic mindset, and the power of staying consistent in any market. Excited about this episode. Please help me welcoming Chris Prefontaine. Chris, thanks for coming on today. As we were chatting earlier, there's a lot of talk right now about what's going to happen in 2026. We experienced 24, 25. Where are you feeling and how are you navigating into this new year that we're about to enter?
Couple of things. So my knee jerk goes to real estate first, and then we'll talk general if that's okay, Asher. So one is, I always say this, and maybe you and I have talked about in the past, and that is in creative, anyway, in our world, creative real estate, I'll stop by saying I don't care what the market's doing, right? But I'm being a little facetious, but I don't, because I used to be at the whim of the market, right? Prior to the crash. Oh man, we got to pivot here, we got to pivot. And now, because all we do is live in the creative world, it's just a matter of us picking what pond we're going to fish in. Are we dealing with expires? Are we dealing with FISBOs? Are we dealing with free and because of the different market trends? Now, having said that, if you and I were talking to a billionaire right now, they can maybe believe they know what's going to happen, but they don't know what's going to happen either, right? Nobody knows what's going to happen next year. I don't care if it's political or bank driven or Fed driven, they don't know. So what can you do then to best bulletproof yourself? Learn creative. In my biased opinion, just learn creative, because then you get up in the morning and with confidence, you can pivot in any direction you want. I think that's the key. As far as real estate specific, we can touch upon their goals and stuff like that if you want, but I don't know if that helps you.
It does. And let's pretend here that someone hears you say creative and they have never heard that before.
Yeah.
Within a 30 to 60-second window, what does creative equal?
Yeah. Creative equals, I call it real estate on your terms. You can see over my shoulder in my book, but creative equals what for us? Real estate on your terms means what? It means no particular order. Not utilizing banks if you don't have to, never signing personally guarantees, in my opinion. It means creating a win-win. Not all niches in real estate can say that. Some are predatory. We tend to create a win-win. I don't care what I pay sometimes. I'll say that publicly as long as I have the right term. Win-win, custom structure to help the sellers of any asset class either accomplish a goal the market's not giving them or solve a problem, right? That's a creative business. So you're eliminating the hassles and the stress, in my opinion, of the banks and doing your own thing. That's very broad.
Yeah, no, but that helps because I think a lot of people, they just think, okay, if it doesn't fit in this box, like if it's not a conventional financing thing, or I'm not personally guaranteeing it, or I don't have the funds to close on it, then it's just a dead deal. And the creative creates the opportunities when there is a real seller and there's a real buyer. And we have to not just look and see, okay, if it doesn't fit in this box, then, we're done. We have to move on to another deal. There are ways around that to make things happen.
I couldn't agree more. So here's some more nuggets for everyone. So the only person, in my opinion, we can't do that with is someone that says unequivocally, I cannot sell my house or my building or my whatever asset without getting the capital because I'm going to do this with it. It's already earmarked. Oh, my kids need this school system. I got to go buy a house, whatever it might be. If they absolutely, no matter what, can't, then I can't help them. Now, does everyone say they can't at first? Yes. So then I say, great. Actually, if you don't sell, if that doesn't happen, what's your backup plan? That answer tells me absolutely everything, whether I can help them or not. Because I know where I'm going. I know where I'd like to go there by, but what if that doesn't work? Cash wise.
Yeah.
Now they say, doesn't matter. I'll stay, still a dead deal. But then the real motivation will come out if there is one. No, I gotta go. The real motivation comes out. And then we know we can either solve a problem or help them accomplish a goal the market's not doing.
And that's why we call it the real deal, because we want to know the real deal for them. What is this desire? Where is it coming from? And if they're just trying to play the market and see where the market is, That's not a high motivation. That's just
Right.
testing. But if there's an actual desire, what is the real deal? What is their situation? I liked what you said that if I just go one step deeper, then I'll really know how we can solve the problem if there is a real problem to solve at all.
Yeah, and the nugget out of that, talking about the real deal here, to be blunt, is that those 3 questions, if every single listener uses those, like, today on the phone, they'll do better than they did yesterday, and that is, where are you going, by when, and what if that doesn't happen? What's the plan B? If you were my neighbor and you threw a sign out, I'd probably very nonchalant, as if I was talking to a family member, go, "Hey, I just saw the sign out. Where you going?" Okay, that's question 1. "Oh, cool. You're going to Texas, whatever. When did you want to be there by?" "Curious. I want to be there by this date. I gotta be there." "All right, cool. If it didn't happen, like, what are you gonna do?" Boom. You just had a normal conversation that you'd have with your neighbor, and all you're doing is listening to see if you can help them. And I get a lot, and you probably do. Yeah, but how do you convince you don't. You just look to see if you can solve. There's no convincing. It's if you and I go to an accountant, an attorney, an auto body, a dentist, do they convince us that we have to be there? No, they're just solving whatever we went there for. That's all we're doing. That's all we're trying to do.
Yeah, there's no need to sell, it's just connect. And when you're connecting with someone, you're discovering about them. All right, so let's get back to 2026 because we're excited about this year. There's a lot of noise, a lot of like positive energy, I feel like going into this year. How do you feel about it? What are some of your insights that you're seeing already? And what is your number one thing that you're really driving towards for 2026 for your business?
Okay, so 2 answers. Deal wise, what I'm most excited about, because I have the property business and then the coaching, right? Deal wise, what we're driving for is, and what I'm most excited is, there's positive sentiment, but there's still uncertainty, right? Because there is, be it political, be it the Fed, be it whatever. And when there's a little uncertainty, a little, that opens the door for us. Why? I don't know. Pick a category. You have tired landlords. You have people that are now the house is too big. There's all these things going on, and if they hear uncertainty, they want to jump, right? They want not negative, they just want to move. So I'm excited about that, but I'll tie it back to what I said to you earlier. I'm excited in any market, honestly. I just want to keep my ear to the ground and see which kind of niche I'm going to go work in this year. And then we're most excited for this same makeup in the community of students that we have in 80 different markets, because they're going to feel the same thing we are. Oh, sellers need us more than ever. Oh, buyers need us more than ever. Because even though from a buying standpoint, you and I buying from sellers, that might be cool this year. Guess what? The banking climate for buyers, conventional buyers, that still sucks for them. It's an awful experience, in my opinion. No offense to the bankers and mortgage brokers, because I know some great ones, but it's not a pleasant experience. So we can help them. My son Nick specializes in the disposition of these things, as you may know. And I bet you in the last 10 days, we've had 4 or 5 what we call buyer signings. Why? They need us. They can't go conventionally. That's a cool, like, healthy win-win thing. So I just get more and more excited about that. Anyway, it's a long answer.
Yeah, no, that's good though, because a lot of people are just the noise we're hearing is things like it's going to be a strong market. Buyers are going to feel more confident in this market. We're going to see more deals happening overall. More listings are going to sell, more properties are going to be purchased and so forth. And that's due to rates maybe coming down, right? That's a driving force. But I think that the creative side that you're providing a solution for, just like you mentioned, Nick, that there's something there for people that maybe are just not even aware that exists. And we need to make sure we're keeping that information out there for others to know about.
Here's something I need to keep that information out there, and something popped in my brain if I can share this. And that is,
Yeah.
like, in 26, right now, if you're hearing this, in 26, think about who you're going to listen to, because there is a lot of noise, right? So why do I say that? Because exposure really matters way more than we all realize. Okay. Even if we realize it, it matters more than that. Meaning, I'll give a stat. It's sad, but I'm not trying to throw arrows at anyone. But, like, statistically in the United States, most people have less than $1,000 in savings, are overweight, and divorced. Like, that's brutal. So why would you listen to all that noise? That's where it's coming from. How about you find a specialist like you in Arizona, like whoever, and what? That's who you listen to. Someone who's been where you want to go. And if you do that, you should be excited about 26, because they're going to create opportunities with you or show you the light, so to speak. Does that make sense?
It does. So going into 2026, you're feeling good because you're always feeling good. That's what I'm getting from your answer. There's always an opportunity. There's a way to serve people in every opportunity there is. and you're going to make it right on the deal side and on the community side, on the student side. There's always a new student that's coming into a marketplace that really just needs that support from your community in order to progress in their business and in what they're trying to do.
Yeah. And I'll add one more excitement where you and I and everybody have 1 year more developed. So everything, sit down, take inventory of everything you learned this year. Now you get to do more with yourself, but you also, in my case, get to do more with community members because I'm more seasoned now for it's another year. So you should be excited about that too. I am.
I love that mindset. That's a really important mindset for anyone that's an agent trying to become better, or an investor, or an agent helping their community, whatever it might be. Chris, you hit it right on the head. It doesn't matter if you had your best year, your worst year, but you took something from that year
Yeah.
that you can progress for the next year on.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're
Love that.
agent, I know there's a whole bunch of you.
Yep.
Why not? I think you and I talked about this on my show. Why not ratchet up and get excited about ratcheting up, being like the authority in your marketplace? And how do you do that? There's a number of different ways to do it. Creative's one, but be the authority in your marketplace. Writing a book is one. Learning creative is one. Having a podcast is one. Like ratchet something up in 26 to get people to go, I need to deal with that person like they do with you.
Yeah. It's just making the decision and going for it. And it doesn't matter if you have 1 or 2 views at the beginning. If you're just consistent with it and you're doing the right things and you're learning and progressing, that's what it's about. That's how you're building. And do you see a lot of people when they start something and they don't see instant success, and they're like, all right, that thing didn't work, I got to move over here to this thing. I heard this is the thing to do. And then,
Yeah.
how do you help people not keep jumping, but keeping consistent with whatever is that one thing? If it's starting a podcast, if it's writing the book, how do you keep people like focused on course with that one thing?
Good question. Couple things again come to mind, no particular order. One is when you sit down with them. So I'm talking directly to them right now. A plan versus a goal. Number one, a goal is yeah, be nice, but a plan is no, I'm going to hit it by this date, and I need your help holding me accountable. So there's accountability built on a plan, some accountability, and then managing expectations. Asher, I think is huge. Example: when I was an agent, when I first journeyed into being an agent, I found a woman doing 100 homes a year because my broker owner told me you can do 12, and I was like depressed. So I was like, I gotta find someone doing more deals. I went and found her. She's doing 100. Okay, now I'm thinking different. And then I said, who was your coach? Who got you here? Then I seek that person out. And that's who I ended up camping out with. People can show you a clear plan versus a goal, exactly what you want if you'll allow them to. And then the expectation thing is that I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if it's an agent, if it's investing, if it's both, if it's opening a restaurant. You got to do what Brian Tracy said on my podcast once, which was give it 3 to 7 years. I know for some of you that might be like, oh, wow, this is everyone wants get rich quick tomorrow. It's 3 to 7 years with blinders on and not doing the shiny object syndrome. What you describe is what I call drilling wells and never hitting water. Okay, I got to go start this. And then I got to start, you never hit water. Why don't you just hang out for 3 to 7 years with a person or a community like yourself and say, hey, show me the exact plan. So I hit 4 or 5 things there. I hope that was on point.
I think that was great. The biggest two that I took away from that is having a goal is great, but having the plan is necessary and the way to keep driving forward. And then making sure that the expectations are clear and concise. Like, these are the expectations. One expectation is it's not going to be an instant success. You have to continue moving forward, but having a plan versus a goal. What are your thoughts on this? This is something that I've been working with a lot of agents, trying to get them out of their own mindset of negativity, which is their goal or their result is what they're focused on right here. But the actual task is what should be focused on, right? If you're only focused on the result of X amount of units, X amount of volume, whatever it might be, X amount of investments, you're missing sight in the actual task. The task are the things that you need to be doing. It's the podcast, it's the book, it's the communication, like the conversations per day with people. So what are your thoughts on that?
2, again, no particular order. One is, if that's your, and I made that mistake, if that's your only goal, the second you hit several roadblocks in a way, you're going to sway away from it. And why do I say that? I'll give you an exercise too they can do. So here we are year end. why not, instead of that, so you can get back to the task, why not do two things? Why not, one, write your ideal year out as if it's 12/31/26. Write it all out in present tense like you already got it, right? And then without limiting yourself, 'cause that's going to be, you won't grow past what you write, right? Then why not just be super honest? It's year end, and take inventory and go, look, good, bad, or otherwise, I'm here. I doesn't matter. I'm here's what the ideal year is I just painted. Now list the top 3 to 5 roadblocks that could be perceived or real, but you list what you think are the top 3 to 5 roadblocks. And then the task you just referred to becomes ripping apart and getting obsessed over fixing those 3 to 5, breaking through those 3 to 5 things. So very task oriented. However, you'll get through it with the challenges, because there will be challenges, only if, in my opinion, you have a strong why at the back end. Like you wrote that out and you know exactly why you want what you want, not to do 100 units or 10 units. No, why you want it, and all in that perfect year that you just wrote out, and how that feels and tastes and smell. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's what it's about. And I think a lot of people are going to enjoy listening to that. And it's not about just people listening to it if they're in real estate. That is for anything that they're trying to pursue. Like you mentioned
Right.
before, a restaurant, whatever it might be. It could just be you're not even owning a business or starting a business. Maybe you're just managing a family. And I wanted to segue into that today a little bit because you run a family business, right? Now it's multi-generational. It's not just you guys, but the kids are involved, right?
Yeah.
So how has that been?
It's been awesome. People go, how did you design it? And all this, I didn't design anything. What I did was I started out in 12 or 13 after the crash doing creative. Then I got too busy. So my son, who was a realtor, came in and said, help me get things sold. And then Zach, my son, and Kayla, my daughter, were in the bartending business. And they said, oh, good cash, but this lifestyle's off like 2 or 3 in the morning. So can we come in? And the answer was sure. I don't know what roles are going to be what. You're not getting paid till we do deals. Like it's eat what you kill type thing. So we started it, and then over the years, now we're 10 years later. Over the years, the roles organically grew without anyone orchestrating it. And Nick loves and's great at the buyers. Zach loves scaling the company and working with stuff. So everybody fell into their mold, and it works great. And people say, what about, like, how do you not have conflict and that type of stuff? Simple. We came up with a mission, and then we came up with values. So the values were all voted on, like everybody agreed on them. So when a decision comes about to hire someone, fire someone, buy a property, take on a student, you just say, does it match our values? That's it. If it doesn't, it's not a personality thing. It's not a family thing. It's, does it match our values? So family doesn't get in the way, and it can be fun if you treat it that way. So anyway, that's how we do it to this day.
Yeah. So what's great about that is you didn't say, okay, Nick, you're going to do this. Zach, you're going to do that. You just let it organically happen. And everyone just found their spot on the
Their
bus,
lane.
right? Like they
Yeah.
found their lane. And I think that's something that everyone can take away. If you're starting a business or starting something with family, most people are like, oh my gosh, they're starting a family business. There goes that business and there goes that family. But,
Yeah.
and that's maybe when there's too much rigidity, right? There's someone just, you have to do this, you have to do this, but if you let it organically happen and it'll fall into place. I really appreciate the mission and values that you mentioned because it's that separation of, it's not personal. Like these are the mission and values of our corporation. And this is what we've all voted on.
Yeah. And exposure. Sorry, exposure came to mind because I did just constantly bring them to mentors and seminars and things like that, help get out the strengths. Oh, I like that. I don't like that. So exposure to other people than me. That's important.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. All right. So any goals with the family business? Where is the business going for 2026? You said goals are important, but having a plan, what does that look like for you guys going into this new year?
Yeah, we do offsites, which were foreign to me about 8 years ago, but we do offsite meetings. So next week is our offsite for 26, but I can tell you where it's trending already without even getting into that 2-day offsite we'll do. We obsess over certain metrics in the field that we know will do what I said earlier, help them create a lifestyle of their dreams. Things like time to first deal. Can we shorten that? Because if you shorten that, aren't they going to want to stay? They're doing deals. I don't care if you're a realtor or investor, but now we're the investors. Time to first deal. Time to first sold. So time to first deal is they took on an agreement. Time to first sold is they got it sold. Things like that, making their experience better. All our stuff this year is not around can we sell 2 more coaching units? It's how can we make the experience so good that people don't want to leave? And while we're doing that, we are honing in on where we saw weaknesses. One, not weakness, but one area we can improve was getting more sold. So we put an emphasis on that 2 or 3 months ago, and it's making 26 look like we're going to just be every week. That means someone in the field, a student, a community member is getting a check every time we do that, several times per week. That's a win. That's a huge win. You change lives and you do that, and that's what we're all about. It's pretty cool to see. Now, people go, why do you coach then? Because if you know my story back during the crash, I had to go through all the stuff that we now help buyers and sellers do. I had to go through my credit getting trashed. I had to go through the repair of that. I had to go through trying to get financeable again. And my wife said, why don't you show the people how to do that? That's how this all came about. Unbeknownst to me where it is today, but that's how it all came about. That's why we love doing what we do.
And that's part of your why, because you were there.
Yeah.
You experienced that, we can call it hardship, right?
Yep. Oh,
But
yeah.
looking back,
Understatement.
yeah, but looking back to that made you, that refined you, that
Mhm.
made you, without that part of your life, maybe this wouldn't be as good as it is.
Oh, I remember actually like it was yesterday. I don't think I've ever told you this. I remember trying to make a decision. It's 12 or 13. And I'm saying to myself, okay, I'm doing deals again. This feels good. Am I going to start to coach because people are asking me to, or am I going to avoid that totally and go do some multifamilies? That was literally my decision. And I thought, I don't want to go begging people to raise money and do all that. I'm just going to help people. And that's the route we went. It was just like a fork in the road. And here we are today. So interesting to look back at that.
Yeah. I'm so appreciative of you being on today and continuing the collaboration. And we'll get this thing out there and more people to know about how they can just set expectations, plan, not just look at goals, and really just know that in any market, there's opportunity and you just have to get after it.
Love it. Love it. I'd love to give these guys, I think I may have told you, a gift if you're good with that.
I'm totally good with that.
Sweet. So I also, there's things I do that because I got frustrated with them. So I also can't stand when I go on, I don't care if it's social media, I'm not on there much, but anywhere, and they go, free offer, get my book. And then you got to put in $10 for shipping. It's not free anymore. So I want to give you a free book. We're going to actually give you a couple of our bestsellers totally free. Just go to 3paydays books. That's the number 3paydaysbooks.com/Asher. We're going to honor that. And anyone, literally, all you do is put your address in. There's no payment. Anyone who submits that, no time limit, you'll go ahead and get a couple of the free books on us. Come right out of my office here.
Chris, that's awesome. Thank you very much for being on today. I'm looking forward to reconnecting in the future.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you again for listening to The Real Deal. If you have any other questions or would like to hear the real deal on a specific topic, please feel free to write in or contact us. Have a great day.